This is Nightline, and I'm Sabrina Zainal. The headlines. Recruitment agencies should be fined if they fail to provide jobs for foreign workers. And investigation opened against 2 overstatements on National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs. Good morning. We begin with this story. Companies that bring in migrant workers without having jobs ready for them should be fined up to 30,000 ringgit per worker. Plantation and Commodities Minister Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said the fines could be used to repatriate migrant workers to their home countries because the expenses involved in doing this are currently borne by the government.
Kalau boleh compound dia 20,000 atau 30,000 satu orang. Kalau dia buat 500 kali dengan 500 pekerja. Kalau 1,000 kali dengan 1,000 pekerja. Barulah boleh guna benda ni. Kalau tak ada kerja, kita hantar balik, guna kos. Kalau tidak, kerajaan nak kena bagi kos.
He said this after his ministry's monthly assembly in Putrajaya on Thursday. A day earlier, Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail and Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim met to discuss the way forward in managing the migrant workers issue in the country. This comes after 171 Bangladeshis were arrested in Pengerang, Johor on December 20th after taking part in a march on their way to lodge a police report against their agents for failing to secure jobs for them as promised. Johari also said the lack of migrant workers, especially in the rubber sector, was critical as there were 420,000 hectares of rubber plantations that remain untapped due to the labor shortage. He estimated that more than 80,000 migrant workers were needed to meet the demand from this and other sectors. The Padu National Database has attracted more than 500,000 registrations so far. Economy Minister Rafizi Ramli said the focus is now directed on understanding user registration polar. He said this is to ensure that the process is not just focused on a few locations only. And the Economy Minister also hoped the momentum of registration for the first 3 days will continue despite some challenges from the residents of inland areas. Meanwhile, Rafizi stressed the selection of civil servants to develop an integrated system is to avoid leakage of information to outside parties. 2 days ago, Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim launched Padu, which is to serve as a central database for the rollout of targeted subsidies, one of the government's priorities for 2024. Contractor negligence has led to the collapse of a crane on the railway track in Rawang on December 12th, incurring over 2.4 million ringgit in losses for Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said the contractor had failed to ensure the work area was safe by entering a prohibited work site that was not secure and slippery, causing the crane to tilt onto the track. Revealing the investigation's findings in a press conference on Thursday, he said the Transport Ministry took a serious view of the contractor's disregard for safety in executing work, as entering restricted areas could lead to major accidents. The contractor concerned has been instructed to stop work in the area until further investigation by the Land Public Transport Agency, APAD, is completed. He said the APAD is preparing an investigation report for action under APAD Act 715 before submitting it to the Attorney General's office for further action. On December 12th, the Klang Valley commuter train and electric train service experienced disruptions after a crane used for the construction of a multi-story parking project of the Railway Asset Corporation collapsed on the railway track between Rawang and Kuang.
The construction sector, an important driver of change for Malaysia. What is the significance of productivity within this sector? What measures can be taken to improve efficiency, effectiveness and overall performance within construction projects? Money Matters this week with Datuk Sri Dr. Michael Yam, champion of construction and built environment productivity nexus, this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3.
Police have opened an investigation paper against 2 individuals over their statements concerning the National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs Malaysia, MKI. Bukit Aman Criminal Investigation Department CID Director Datuk Sri Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said the case is being investigated by the Classified Crime Investigation Unit, Prosecution Legal Division, or D5. In a statement on Thursday, Muhammad Shuhaili said that the case is being probed under the Sedition Act 1948 and the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998. He said the case is still under investigation and the public is advised to refrain from making any speculations that might disrupt the investigation process. The public also should be aware of and concerned about sensitive issues, especially those relating to public and national security. He did not reveal the identities of the individuals under probe. Prior to this, the Sultan of Selangor, Sultan Sharifuddin Idris Shah, reminded non-Muslims to show respect and refrain from interfering in matters related to Islamic affairs in the country. The Selangor ruler, who also serves as the Malaysian National Council for Islamic Religious Affairs, that the MKI has the mandate and responsibility to handle all matters concerning the Muslim community. A company appointed as an agent to collect zakat or tithes is currently being investigated for allegedly misappropriating nearly 10 million ringgit in tithes collected. Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department CCID Director Commissioner Datuk Sri Ramli Muhammad Yusuf said throughout 2023 his department had investigated 4 CBT cases comprising 2 in Selangor, 1 in Terengganu and 1 in Perak. Ramli said that the company which was appointed to collect tithes is suspected to have failed to deposit the tithes between March and September last year. The total losses in these cases are 9.714 million ringgit, with the Perak case alone charting 9.629 million ringgit.
Ini adalah satu yang mendukacitakan kerana wang zakat juga turut diseleweng oleh individu yang diamanahkan untuk mengutip wang tersebut. Perkara ini tidak sewajarnya berlaku dan diharapkan semua jabatan dan agensi yang berkaitan hendaklah lebih berhati-hati dalam menguruskan apa-apa juga harta yang melibatkan harta awam, termasuklah wang zakat.
He sternly warned the perpetrators of these crimes that strict action will be taken to ensure that such crimes do not recur. He added that they have taken statements from a number of individuals in connection with the case so far, but declined to elaborate further. In Selangor, 3 men and 2 women were charged at the Selayang Magistrates Court in Selangor for the murder of a security guard near Sungai Choh in Rawang last month. It was reported that police believed the actions of a man who had disseminated indecent images of a woman were the motive behind the murder. The accused, G. Ganong Sigaran, 34, his sister, G. Malani, 33, S. Devi, 30, P. Saravanan, 31, and P. K. Vikaneswaran, 20, nodded in understanding when the charge was read before Magistrate Nur Hafiza Rajuni. However, no plea was recorded as the case comes under the jurisdiction of the High Court. The 5 are charged with murdering S. Ashok, 20, near a house in Jalan Sungai Buaya, Sungai Choh, in Rawang between 8 a.m. and 3:30 p.m. on December 23rd. The offence falls under the Penal Code, which is punishable with death or imprisonment for between 30 and 40 years, with not less than 12 strokes upon conviction. Ganong Sigaran and his brother, Dandem Bain, 30, pleaded not guilty at the same court for burying the victim's body near the area of the house between 3:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. on the same date. They were charged under the Penal Code, which carries maximum 7 years imprisonment or a fine. The court set 5,000 ringgit bail and 1 surety against Dandem and fixed March 4th for mention. Late last month, it was reported that police arrested 5 suspects in connection with the discovery of a man's body buried behind the residence in Sungai Choh. England's National Health Service declares critical incident amid strike. News from the Foreign Front when we return. We're back with the foreign front. The United States has seen no indication that Israel was behind two explosions that killed 84 people and wounded scores others at a ceremony in Iran to commemorate Commander Qasem Soleimani. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby emphasized that it is too soon to gather significant details about the explosions, adding that it has no indication that the Zionist regime was involved. The U.S. had also earlier rejected suggestions that it or ally Israel was behind the blast. The response came after an Iranian official on Wednesday blamed Israel and the U.S. for the blasts. Meanwhile, the death toll was revised down to 84 on Thursday morning from an earlier figure of 95. The two explosions, labeled a terrorist attack by state media and regional authorities, came amid high Middle East tensions over the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza and the killing of a Hamas senior leader in Lebanon on Tuesday. In the meantime, Malaysia has condemned the attacks in Kerman and called for the perpetrators to be brought to justice. In a statement, Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said he was deeply saddened by the reports of several bomb explosions that had happened, which had claimed almost many innocent lives and injured over 200 others. In extending condolences to Iran and its citizens, the Prime Minister said Malaysia also mourns and stands in solidarity. He also urged that the masterminds behind the violent act be brought to trial. Anwar added that in this new year, Malaysia seeks to invite the world to join in opposing the culture of violence and greed to save global humanity. On Wednesday, at least 84 people were killed as two bombs in quick succession struck a crowd commemorating slain General Qasem Soleimani on the anniversary of his killing. Israel's war against Hamas is nearing the 3-month mark on Thursday amid international concern that the conflict is spreading beyond Gaza. Gaza's health ministry said for the past 24 hours, at least 125 Palestinians have been killed and 318 injured as Zionist shelling killed 16 Palestinians, including 9 children, in the southern coastal area of the Gaza Strip, packed with people who had fled attacks in other parts of the enclave. The Palestinian Red Crescent said its headquarters in Khan Yunis was also hit, killing 1 person and wounding others. Zionist planes and tanks also bombarded 3 refugee camps in the center of the shattered enclave, prompting many civilians to head south. Meanwhile, the United States is set to engage in a renewed diplomatic push to calm tensions in the Middle East, with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken scheduled to engage in some shuttle diplomacy while on a whistle-stop tour of several countries, with a visit to Israel planned for next week. Over in the United Kingdom, several of the country's National Health Service (NHS) trusts have now declared critical incidents as junior doctors begin their second day of a historic 6-day walkout, the longest the NHS has ever seen. On the first day of the strike, more than a dozen hospitals said emergency services were busy, and Queen Alexandra Hospital in Portsmouth said its accident and emergency A&E department was full as it declared a critical incident. A critical incident was also declared by NHS Nottingham and Nottinghamshire Integrated Care Board due to significant pressures on services. A number of hospitals have submitted 20 so-called derogation requests calling on doctors to return to work. Some have submitted more than one plea. All but one of the requests have been rejected, and the final one was being considered by the union. In the meantime, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been told to come up with an emergency plan to reduce record waiting lists in the NHS in a letter signed by a group of celebrities and NHS workers. Now, hundreds of pages of unsealed documents from a lawsuit connected to accused sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein were publicly released on Wednesday, with references to a number of wealthy and powerful people, including former Presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, as well as Prince Andrew. U.S. Judge Loretta Preska found that there is no legal justification to keep the names in the documents redacted, paving the way for several famous figures to find themselves tied to the notorious disgraced financier. In total, more than 150 associates of the disgraced pedophile are expected to be unmasked as the trove of documents are released over the coming days. The newly released documents name Trump and Clinton on multiple occasions, but at no point accuse either of any wrongdoing. Prince Andrew is also named multiple times. The documents were part of a settled civil lawsuit brought by one of Epstein's alleged victims, Virginia Giuffre, against Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was convicted in 2021 for her role in helping recruit girls to Epstein's operation. United Cup. Caroline Garcia guided France into the semi-final with a 2-1 victory, sending Norway packing for home. The 20th ranked opened up the first set 6-2, but lost a bit of rhythm in the second, which allowed the Norwegian to level the match with a 7-6 win in the tiebreak. Garcia, however, fought back a late attack in the tiebreak in the final set and won 7-6. Casper Ruud, however, defeated Adrian Manarino in straight sets to put Norway on level term. Ruud provided a strong performance against the 22nd ranked and secured a 6-1, 6-4 victory in an hour and 17 minutes. Garcia and Edouard Roger Vasselin then teamed up to give France the victory. The mixed doubles pair outplayed Norway's Ulrike Ekeri and Ruud 7-5, 6-4 to set a last four clash with Poland on Saturday. Still on tennis, the Brisbane International. Former world number 1 Rafael Nadal continued his impressive comeback by overpowering wildcard Jason Kubler to move into the quarterfinals. Playing his first tournament since being forced to retire injured at the 2023 Australian Open, Nadal was far too strong for Kubler, beating him in straight sets 6-1, 6-2. The 37-year-old Spaniard will play another Australian, Jordan Thompson, in the quarterfinals. Joining him was Grigor Dimitrov. The 2017 champion made light work of German Daniel Altmaier, winning 6-1, 6-2 in just over an hour to confirm his spot in the quarterfinal. The second-seed Bulgarian will face Australian Rinky Hijikata next. In the women's event, Jelena Ostapenko advanced to the quarterfinals after overcoming Karolina Pliskova. Ostapenko won the first set 6-2 before 16th seed Pliskova clawed her way back to claim the second set 4-6. The 2017 Roland Garros champion, however, battled vigorously to earn her crucial 6-3 win to set up a meeting with Victoria Azarenka. When Nightline returns, man killed, 2 others injured after motorcycle crashed into pit. Don't go away. Was killed while 2 others were injured when their motorcycles plunged into an under-construction drainage site at Bukit Katil in Malacca after safety barriers placed by contractors were removed. Malacca Tengah District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Christopher Patit said the 3 motorcyclists were passing through the worksite of the flood mitigation project at the traffic junction when the freak incident occurred at 6:30 a.m. on Thursday. ACP Christopher said the three were on their way from Bukit Katil to Bukit Beruang without realizing that part of the stretch was closed due to the absence of safety barriers to warn them. Police believed that someone had deliberately removed the cones and expressed hope that eyewitnesses would come forward to assist in investigations into the irresponsible act. He added that the stretch was also wet due to rain when the incident occurred. Investigation officers were also trying to get hold of CCTV footage from the surrounding streets to identify those involved in removing the barriers. Meanwhile, Malacca Works Infrastructure, Public Amenities and Transport Committee Chairman Dato' Hamid Maidin Kunju Bashir said the State Public Works Department has been ordered to investigate the incident to determine whether the contractor has adhered to the standard operating procedures when placing the barriers and cones. In Selangor, 2 men died following a landslide at a quarry near Bandar Sarjana Putra on Thursday. Selangor Fire and Rescue Department Director Wan Mat Razali Wan Ismail said they received a distress call about the incident at 4:54 p.m. A fire engine, a rescue vehicle, as well as 9 personnel were dispatched to the incident. They arrived at the scene and found that a landslide had occurred and 2 men were buried at a depth of at least 1.2 meters. He said one of the victims was dug out and sent to the hospital, while the other victim was found later and was sent to the Putrajaya Hospital. Both men have been identified as local men in their 30s. The victim who was rescued succumbed to multiple injuries. Now in Perak, a 49-year-old woman was stabbed to death by her worker while her boyfriend suffered injuries during a fight in front of a convenience store at Taman Rasi Jaya in Menglembu. State Police Chief Datuk Seri Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri said police received a call at around 11 a.m. from a member of the public informing authorities about the incident. Initial investigation showed that the woman was the owner of the mobile phone accessories shop. She died on the spot, believed to have been stabbed by her 54-year-old worker. Meanwhile, the second victim, aged 42, who was also the woman's boyfriend, suffered injuries and was rushed to the Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital for treatment. The suspect also sustained injuries following the altercation and was picked up by the police soon after the incident. Yusri said the incident is believed to be the result of a disagreement regarding financial problems between the woman and her worker. The suspect, who has past criminal records, will be taken to the Ipoh Magistrates Court on Friday morning to obtain a remand order for the police investigation. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder. As Nightline draws to a close this time around, let's take a look as ice and snow made Harbin city of northeast China's Heilongjiang province a popular destination for winter tourism, attracting numerous tourists from China and abroad over the New Year holiday. With that, I'm Sabrina Zainal. Thank you for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.